welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's video, I have invited Dr. Gurudatt, and he's currently working as a postdoctoral research associate at Yonsei University from South Korea. And to start with today's video, let Dr. Gurudatt introduce himself, his background and his journey from bachelor's to master's, then PhD. Now currently he's working as postdoctoral. So sir, the floor is yours.
Hello everyone, my name is Gurudatt. I'm currently working as a postdoctoral research associate. First of all, I did my bachelor's and master's from India, from different universities. I did my bachelor's in Mangalore University in Karnataka, in botany, zoology and chemistry, and did my master's in biotechnology in Pusan University. So the thing is, when I was doing my bachelor's, I had no idea of what to do after bachelor's or what to do after master's. There was no set direction of how to, you listen to these interview of great persons, they say that you need to have a plan or something. No, I did not have anything.
Exactly.
So most of the people in India are like this, because we are not given a lot of opportunities in terms of options. You only know the parts where your parents or your uncle, aunt, your family members, your friends and their fathers, what they're working in. Like if you come from a city like Hyderabad or Bangalore in South India, maybe in Bombay it's possible, but in these areas you don't even know there is a position called a stockbroker.
Yeah.
And you can make a lot of money by that one. So one of the examples, like there are a lot of professions that we don't even know about. So when I was in my bachelor's, I was interested in biology. I was not interested to become a doctor, medical doctor or anything. So I just studied botany, zoology and did these things. And then actually I applied for master's in biochemistry and biotechnology, the only two subjects. So finally, I got a position in biotech, Pusan University. So I joined there in 2008.
Okay.
And then, in biotech is like a combination of subjects. If you see my bachelor's, I studied like botany, zoology, and chemistry, right? So it was a combination of biology and chemistry all together. So I was comfortable with combining different topics at that time. When you go to masters, you actually focus on one subject. That is the point of your masters. It's completely different from other countries. Like for example, now I'm in Korea. Now I'm experiencing in my current laboratory, we have bachelor students, master students, all of these things. So they actually don't study in a way we do. From bachelor's, they are assigned to a single professor, where they take up several subjects based on that professor's expertise. So for example, if the professor is a biomedical engineer, then they will take the only subjects, like they won't take basic chemistry or basic biology or anything. They just take some engineering technology classes or chemistry, basic chemistry, this one, or nanotechnology classes, the advanced nanotechnology classes, which means that they are not as well versed in basic sciences as Indians are. So that's why the countries like China and Korea prefer Indian and other South Asian students. Yeah, because we can actually work in different fields based on our basic education. Because until +2, I think high school and then pre-university, we study all kinds of things.
Yes.
Botany, chemistry, mathematics, physics, everything we study. Yeah. So when I was in my master's, I took biotech, and then I had different subjects, molecular biology, genetic engineering, genetics, and then plant biotechnology, animal biotechnology, all these things. So I was okay, and then I also chose pharmaceutical chemistry and microbiology as optional subjects, and then it was fine.
From which university you did masters?
Pusan University. It's in Karnataka.
Okay.
Shumaga, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I finished in 2010, and then I was studying for competitive exams for a year or so, and then I took some time off, you know,
Okay.
because I had no idea of what to do and this one. In 2012, I started, seriously thinking about the future, and then I decided like I want to get a doctorate,
Okay.
and I applied. I actually got in two universities in India, but the problem in India is, see, this is one of the major problems in India now is the funding issue. I mean, we have funding, PhDs with funding, the JSA, I mean, the CFIR fellowships and other things, but that's not enough for the number of students that are enrolling for PhD every year. So it's like only 30% of the students will get that funding. So the remaining students are forced to work in like part-time jobs. So when you do that, when you actually go for a part-time job when you're doing PhD, the major problem is that you're not as much interested in research as you should be.
Yes.
You, I actually I experienced this one in my master's laboratory. Many of my lecturers who are actually doing PhD, but most of their major concern is for teaching the students and then taking their theory classes, lab, and other things. So these things are like they actually take your focus away from the research. So
Mm.
you won't be able to publish or you won't be able to achieve the kind of results that bachelor students achieve in countries like Korea and other US and other places.
Okay.
So that's one of the major problems that we have. After 2015, I think it's being resolved, but still.
Because yeah, now they have different scholarships like PMRF scholarship where they are
Right,
funding.
right. Now they started, like even private funding also started for universities and different professors.
Mm-hmm.
Then I actually applied. I actually had a friend
Mm-hmm.
in PNU, and then I contacted him, and he said actually in our lab we are doing some similar research to this one, but
Mm-hmm.
it is related to electrochemistry. See, the
Mm-hmm.
thing is that I studied electrochemistry in my plus two,
Mm-hmm.
pre-university courses, but I forgot that one because in bachelor's and master's I did not study any physics
Mm-hmm.
or physical chemistry. It was completely either general chemistry or like biochemistry or something. So electrochemistry I was not very familiar with at that time. So, but anyway, since I was studying multiple subjects at the same time, I thought, okay, it will be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then I joined that lab in 2013.
In Pusan National University.
So yeah, in Pusan National University. It's located in a city called Busan, but in Korean, B and P are the same sound.
Okay.
So yeah, in English when you write it's different, B and P, but in Korean when you write it's the same letter.
Mm.
So it's Pusan and Busan are the same thing. So we
Okay.
call it Pusan National University because it was built maybe 80 years ago or something. So at that time
Mm-hmm.
it was P. Now the modern city of Busan is spelled with B. So
Okay.
yeah, so I joined that one. It was one of the at that time it was one of the top 10 universities in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Now it has gone down a couple of places, I think. But it was a very good research opportunity, and it was really good in chemistry research. I did my doctorate in an institute called Biophysio-Sensor Technology.
Mm-hmm.
So the Institute of Biophysio-Sensor Technology, to which my PhD supervisor was the director at that time. So I joined with him, and then I worked as a researcher for 6 months, I think. In March
Mm-hmm.
of 2013, I came to Korea, and until September, because in India, the registrations of the PhDs depend on the university, when they call for registration.
Yeah.
But in foreign universities, especially in Korea, they have a predetermined date for the registration. So it will come either in February. So you need to do all the processing in February, and your classes will start from March 1st.
Yeah.
Or you have to do all your processing in August, and your classes will start from September 1st.
Yeah. It's basically like spring semester and fall semester.
Yeah, like semester system. But no, the thing is that I told you that I had an opportunity to do PhD in India, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that one actually, one of the university was what I experienced was they said that university had not called for a PhD registration for the last 3 years. Means
Okay.
that from 2010 there was no call for PhD registration. So I actually met a couple of students who have completed their research but have not registered for PhD.
Okay.
So and when you look at a particular university, they have rules like minimum and maximum time for completing the PhD course.
Okay.
Because PhD is not something you graduate from. You have to achieve that based on your professor's opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Means that your professor, when he feels that you can survive independently on yourself, on your own, then he will give you the PhD.
PhD degree.
That it's different in European countries because they have predetermined date for graduation. Like when you register, you know when you are going to graduate.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly 3 years from that date, you have to submit the thesis and then graduate. So that's a different story. But in India and even in Korea and even in US also, when your professor feels like you're okay, then he will graduate you.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked as a researcher for 6 months, and then I started working. Slowly. For the first 6 months, I did not understand anything. Like when I was a researcher, I did the same work, but
Mm-hmm.
I did not understand. See, the thing is that you need to read a lot of papers. If you are going to do research, you need to understand what your predecessors did. Like for example, until now, who has done what kind of research. This is very important. You cannot repeat the same thing. You have to do something new. So you need to do what is already been done, and then you have to start from the beginning your own research, and then you need to get an idea, imagination. You need to have imagination, and then you need to have ideas like how to proceed and what to do new, and how it will progress your field of research. Something
you
like
need to find basically research gap and all.
Right. The field. Imagine you are doing. I had this. I don't know. I forgot his name. I had this student from India contact me a couple of months ago. He said that he wanted to join for PhD in Korea or any other university. So I asked him, what is your master's? Like, what is your area of research? So he said biology.
Okay.
I said, okay, fine, biology, but what is the expertise? What area do you want to do research in? So he said, no, I'm a biology student. I want to do research in biology, microbiology.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, so this is a basic problem that we have in India. We don't know what research is. If you search for a professor online, you can see their papers. It's either published in, like for example, a couple of minutes ago we were discussing this one. You said that I told you my research area, and you asked me what kind of research, like solar cells or something.
Yeah.
So in the same main topic, like my research area is bioanalytical chemistry, but when I say electrochemistry, you can either imagine the material-based research, energy research, or hydrogen production or sensing approaches, different kinds of things.
Yeah.
So you can only focus on one thing. You can only do one thing at a time. So you can't do like complete biology research or complete. That is a basic research which only some professors in universities like Oxford or some very old universities, they still do this one. Oxford and Cambridge and King's College, like all UK based and France based universities, they still do this basic research like biology, evolutionary biology research and other things. So in India we have teaching is that way, but research is different. When you go to research, it's like you have to choose a very, very, very detailed topic. Like what do you want to do? And I'll suggest something. See, if any of the people, any of your viewers, like if they're interested in going for PhD, first of all, what they need to do is they need to decide the research area. What kind of topic do you want to do research on?
Yeah.
Like you get funding for some topic which is related to you, but you're not interested in that one, right?
Yeah.
Most of the people in India study organic chemistry because that is how you get a job in pharmaceutical industry. So after the first 6 months, the thing is that we are not able to access most of the journals. Now it's possible at the university websites and other things. But in Korea, I got used to all those things, how to read papers, how to understand them, because there are so many, new words that we didn't even know when we were in masters or bachelors. So after coming to terms with all those things, after 6 months, your actual research will start. Like you start to get an idea of what to do, how to do. And one thing, most of the people get very, excited about research, and then they want to achieve something very fast. When I was in masters, I was about to finish my project presentation had ended, and my chairman actually said this to me. We actually don't want people who have more than 90% of the marks for PhD. We want someone who got 60% as a student. See, I actually did not understand that at the time, but now I do, because people come from different countries. I met people from at least 10 countries in Korea. They come for different reasons. Either they come for masters or bachelors. Very less number of people come, but mostly they come for either doctorate or masters. So what I observed in all of them is they're very excited. Like they want to achieve something. They want to publish. They want to, get the results as soon as possible. And when they don't get, they get really,
frustrated,
disappointed, and frustrated, disappointed. What I tell them is that, first of all, don't get excited, okay? Because if you're working 9 out of 10 times, you get negative results.
Yeah.
So you get once you get the result, like proper result, then you need to optimize your all of the experimental conditions. Then you start getting, like, slowly you start getting the results. Then you can say, okay, my experiment is going. So this will take, see, if you're a starter, if you're a beginner at all these things, then it will take nearly 1 to 2 years easily to finish one research project. So, but if you are actually, you have been doing this for a long time and you're working on the same field, then it takes what, 4 or 5 months to finish. So that's one of the things. So I think I had planned to go back to India in 2014. My father actually told me come back after 3 months, because I had never lived outside India, and then I had lived outside my home. I was in masters. When I was in masters, I was staying at the hostel, and then, but they were really concerned because how are you going to survive and all those things. And I'm a vegetarian, so I can't eat outside. So that's one of the problems. So I had planned, and everybody was saying come back after 3 months, but I had planned after 6 months I will go back. I will do something at least 1 year. I'll try to publish a paper in 1 year. I'll finish my research and then I'll go back. Then I realized 2 years had already passed, and then I could not even publish the paper at that time. So then I gave up on the paper, and then I thought, okay, first let's go back home and then come back and then start again. So you need to have that fresh start attitude, because you can't, like, push through the research. You can't do Saturday, Sunday. No, not possible. Some people think that, okay, no, I'm going to work on Sundays and I'm going to work until 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning. I have seen when I was in university, my lecturers, which I told you, they were doing PhD. So they used to go to lab, like most of them were organic or some this one. So their reactions used to finish
It
like
takes
night
time a
one
lot. Yeah.
o'clock. Yeah, night 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock or something. So they used to go to lab and then they used to stop the reaction and things and come back. I knew this was supposed to happen. So first 1 year was okay, I think, but the second year of my PhD, I started realizing that we used to spend more and more time in the lab as compared to outside.
Hmm.
So from morning 9:30, we used to have a meeting, small meeting, and uh, uh, then lunch break we used to take 1 hour and dinner 1 hour, 6 o'clock evening. But we used to stay in the lab until 12 o'clock
Night
night.
12 o'clock. Okay.
Yeah, because security guy will used to come and he used to tell us, go home, we need to lock the door.
Ah.
But if you don't want to go, that's fine. So morning 6 o'clock you have to go, otherwise in the middle you can't go. So that was one of the process. We used to go out at 12 and then morning again come back at 9:30. So this used to happen a lot. And then we got used to that lifestyle, like,
Hmm.
night working in the night. So there is only one reason why you should work night times. If your instrument is not free, whatever
Hmm.
instrument you're using, if it is not free during daytimes, because other people will be working, so you can stay. Otherwise, you should not. You should sleep well, and then you should take holidays on weekends, and
Hmm.
you should do something. Otherwise, you won't get the results.
We should get
Yes.
refreshed.
No, it's a reality actually, because I for the first 4 months of my research now, I had this crazy thought. Like I told you, I had plans. Like I had to go back to India, and then I wanted to publish, and then I wanted to publish in a high impact journal. You know,
Hmm.
at the time, it was in my head. So I was like trying to get the result. So first 4 months, I could not get the result.
Hmm.
So my professor actually called me, and then we had a meeting. And he asked me for all the data, and I gave him the data, and most of it was negative. And then I told him this is the problem I'm having with the research, and then he said this is not working, and you're just wasting time now.
Hmm.
So stop working on that, and then change your you know
Topic area.
research area, and then topic. Just change the topic. So I was really, I actually had like threefold of plan for that research, because one of the most important thing you need to always remember during your PhD is that people will give you all kinds of ideas, even your professor. Because see, the thing is, professor is not concerned about your PhD thesis.
Hmm.
He is concerned about the paper, because he has a lot of funding issues that he need to publish the paper, and he has a lot of university issues where he need to show that I'm publishing this many papers per year, something. So that is his goal. Thesis is your problem, because at the end of 3 years or 4 years, you are going to publish, you are going to submit the thesis to the committee and the university. And then if after 3 years you are not finished with your thesis, professor will say continue one more year. That's it. He has no
Ah.
problem. Right. So what you need for the thesis is a story.
Yes.
That's a very important thing, because you can't publish papers in different research areas. You have to make like a story, part one, two, three, four, like this story. So those stories contain chapters, and those chapters are your papers. So whatever you do research is your chapter.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there should be a reason why you're doing this research and why you're doing this and why this. So I actually wanted to continue that project because of that reason. So then I took some break during the weekend. Like they
Hmm.
have something called as Chuseok here.
Okay.
Chuseok is a Korean holiday.
Okay.
So Korea doesn't have that many holidays. It's like very very less number of holidays Korea has.
Hmm.
But that one is a 3 day holiday. Continuously you get holidays for 3 days. So I think at that time, and combining with the weekend and other things, you get some 1 week or something holidays. So at that time, I just took like couple of days and went out with my friends and came back and then started fresh. Then started getting not the result, but I mean, don't expect dramatic changes in your PhD. It will never happen. So, so I started getting like positive.
Hmm.
development in research. So I started understanding. Also, maybe the fact that at that particular time I started to understand my research because I started to read a lot of related topics, and then I understood why this problem is coming and how to solve that problem, all those things. So finally, I was able to publish it after 2.5 years of,
Okay.
in 2015, I published that paper. So this is one of the example, like what kind of troubles you face when you're doing this kind of research. Most of the people can't finish their topics, because some topics you can actually prove, some you cannot because it's not there. So at that time, you can only publish negative results. So if it is a subject like physics, then it's acceptable. But if it is an engineering subject, then it's not possible because engineering is all about production, like what you can prove and how to apply it to the industry and other things. So that you need to think and then go forward with that. And then, I got graduated at the beginning of 2018 in February.
Okay.
Yeah, so I finished my PhD.
Like it was
Right.
almost 5 years, I guess.
Right, 5 years, exactly 5 years. I started working from March 1st of 2013, and I graduated on 23rd of February 2018.
Okay. Then
So 1 week short, then 5 years exactly.
when did you apply
Yeah.
for this postdoc then?
No. Actually, I did not apply for postdoc in the beginning. See, the thing is, when you finish your PhD, even in India, this is true in India also. When you finish your PhD, your professor is like your father. Like he's responsible for you, and he's the concerning guy, because as long as you are doing PhD, he will be hostile. He will be very angry. He will shout. He will do all these things. But when you finish your PhD, he is like a very mild guy. He becomes your father. He's like, oh no, you need to find a good position. You need to do this one. But one of the major concerns with the Koreans, I felt, I don't know if this is true in other countries, but in Korea, especially, they expect you to work for at least 1 year as a postdoc.
Okay.
Because you learned a lot of things in that lab. Now, in your time, your professor might have bought an instrument, a very expensive instrument. Expensive in the sense that, to give your viewers an idea, one potentiostat will cost in Indian currency maybe 5 lakh rupees, 6 lakh rupees, something. So one of the major projects in India nowadays, I don't know, but when I was in masters, it was 1 lakh rupee. If the whole funding was 1 lakh rupees, then it was a major project at that time. So you can't purchase these instruments. But here the project funding is more, so they purchase these things on a regular basis. So if, for example, your professor had purchased that instrument during your time and you are the only guy handling that instrument, then he expects you to teach other students in the lab.
Exactly, yeah.
So, but during your PhD, you can't, because you're busy. You can't even have personal relationships also. Dating and other things you can just forget in PhD. I know this Australian professor who wrote an article. I don't know his name, I forgot. He wrote an article saying that the very difficult thing for an Indian in 21st century, I mean now, who actually want to do PhD and research and other things, when he moves from one country to other country, that is the age, like, at the age of 23, 20, 22, 23, you graduate from masters, around 21, 22, 23.
Yeah.
And that is the age that you have a girlfriend or boyfriend, or you're in a relationship or something, and then you have to move to a different place, which is really difficult. Because see, the thing is, you can't marry at that time.
Yeah.
So this is a big problem, and I in Korea, it's a very common thing to date in Korea. So I saw my lab mates who were almost finishing PhD. My professor was like, "Don't waste time on all these dating things, okay? So it's a funny situation where like people look at you in a weird way, and then people ask like, why are you not married, or why don't you have a girlfriend or something, and you know the answer but you can't explain it to them, so it's really difficult at that time. So that's why I stayed in my lab for 6 months actually. Until August I stayed in the PhD lab. And I actually, one more reason was that I had some papers that I had to publish before leaving. You know, people think that by the time you finish PhD, everything is out. No, it's not. You get results and you apply for a doctorate, and then you get 6 months time. First, you have to give a pre-defense. So in that pre-defense, first of all, you need to present and discuss your entire result as a story, and you will have a committee, at least 5 members minimum. Some universities have 3 also, but in my university it was 5. So in those 5, 3 will be, 1 will be your own professor and 2 will be professors from your own department. But 2 people will be from outside your university, outside your this one. So they will come, and then you need to give them your thesis, the draft copy of your thesis before 1 week. And then they will read and then bring it with them. And then they mark all the problems in that thesis. Why are you doing this one? Why is this? Why is this? So the 6 months time that you get is not, just for your writing thesis. 6 months is actually for correcting all the mistakes that you made in your thesis. Like, for example, if you have done some experiment which is not correct and the data you are presenting is actually wrong, the explanation is wrong, so then they will mark it, and then they will say, see, this is the problem with your experiment. It will not happen like this because of this reason. So you have to redo the experiment and correct it, and then write a thesis, and then finally you have to present the thesis in your final defense.
Okay.
So when you present the defense, they will not suggest anything. They will just ask questions at the time. If you can answer all of them, then okay, it's fine. They will just write some notes and then give it to the university office, and then you are done. The only thing you need to do is prepare your thesis, like bind it and other things, and submit it to the library, and then you are finished. Your PhD is done.
Yeah.
So, but what happens is that the reason when you ask why I stayed in that lab, whatever you wrote in your thesis is your paperwork, but that paper is not published yet. See, publication is a different thing than writing, because publication, when you submit a paper, there are different reasons for it to be rejected.
Yeah.
One of the reasons is that the editor thinks this edition will not go with this paper. Like, they have, if they have a particular, motive in their mind, if they're thinking of a particular type of subject and you're submitting something else, then they will reject one thing. That is a very trivial thing. And the most important is that reviewers, your paper will be sent to at least 2 people who are experts in that field. They will read and they will make note of all the things, problems. So they will decide if it can be accepted or rejected, or it should be reviewed again, after minor revision, major revision, all these things. So that takes time, because they will give each reviewer 15 days of time. So 15 days there, 1 week at the editorial office, and then it will take 3 weeks, and it will take 1 week to come to you, and then you have to check all the questions, make changes, write answers, and then if required, you need to repeat some experiments and give the repeated data, and then you need to submit it back. Then again, they will send it to the reviewer and give 15 days. So the reviewer will check all the answers, and if your answers are okay, if it makes sense, then they will accept. Otherwise, they will not accept. So that takes almost 1.5 to 2 months time. But when you're writing thesis, you can't actually write the paper at the same time, because it's like 2 different things. So that's why I stayed there for 6 months, and after that, my PhD professor suggested that I join one of the labs, like his collaborators. It was a biological lab at the time. They were studying the mice, and then they were studying the changes in glucose levels in different organelles, and then this one. So I was developing needle type electrodes for them at that time.
Okay.
Yeah. So I worked there for 1 year, 10 months. 1 year, 4 months.
In which institute?
This was the Lee Gill Cancer and Diabetes Institute. It's a subsidiary of Gill Medical Center. It's a hospital research center.
Okay.
And it belongs to Gachon University, that is in Seoul. The institute is in Incheon. Incheon is a very famous area for its airport because Seoul has the biggest airport in Incheon.
Okay.
Korea has. Okay. Yeah. So I worked there for 1 year, 4 months, and then my contract finished in December of 2019 exactly.
Okay.
So after that, my professor, the postdoc professor actually suggested that I stay there for 6 more months because we were doing some experimentation at the time. I'm not sure if it is finished or not, but we were doing it at the time. And I had a couple of interviews in India at the, because it had 2019 ending means you can imagine I graduated in 2018 February, and then it was 1 year, 10 months already finished in postdoc. So I had, and I had not applied until then to any lab. So I thought, okay, no, I need to think about like long term now. So just go back to India and then, but in March or April, COVID hit.
Yeah.
So there was a lockdown, and then I was stuck there for for at least 6-7 months. I was there. Overall I was 9 months, but the first 3 months was okay because I was doing my thing. But the next 6 or 7 months I was at home and I was not doing anything. And then I was waiting for the lockdown to open, actually.
Yeah.
And then I applied to Yonsei and then came here.
Yeah. So it was a very detailed introduction. So
right.